Eric, what's happening?
Not much, man. Just One Piece. Waiting for the chapter to come out. You know, the usual.
Guys, so Eric, Eric is trying to be cool, trying to be modest, but we have a One Piece professional here in our presence.
That's right. You gotta get Randy on after season 2 premieres, or
yeah, exactly. We got to do that. We got to keep it going. But Eric debuted on One Piece episode 1093. Your first animation credits on?
Sure. My first actual animation credits. I did do a little bit of cleanup on one of the other episodes, but it doesn't really count, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, first legitimate animation sequence on One Piece. 1093, Blackbeard Lore.
A big deal. Let's be honest. Yeah. That's a big deal, right?
It is.
So shout out to you. Congrats. Like you said on Twitter, I think it's insane for things to come full circle. And I'm shocked how many people really don't know that you made my first intro and my outro. First intro.
Well, you had the credit. I don't know. Not a lot of people look at the credits.
Not a lot of people look at the credits. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like kind of weird to put like, hey.
It was a long time ago as well.
What year was that? 2018?
2019, 2018, something like that.
Made the intro that a lot of people love. Doflamingo versus Cat. Eric made that intro and the outro where he's turning, it's kind of me turning into Marco or whatever the hell. Eric made those, and so now where he's actually animating on Toei for, well, I guess, does it count, I guess, for Toei?
Yeah.
Right? That's insane. I think that's just mind blowing. I said this on stream a bit.
Yeah.
But I wanted you to hear it. Like, that's like inspiring, and for a lot of people. If this doesn't inspire you, I don't know what would.
It's I don't know. I feel like it's any career where you start at the bottom, you don't know what the fuck, how to get into it, and I don't know, more careers are more on track than others.
Yeah, it's more easy to see the path.
It's kind of like YouTube in a way.
Yeah,
you gain contacts, you make friends. Mm-hmm. This guy knows that guy.
All of a sudden, boom, you're on Law versus Blackbeard.
Yeah, 5 years later, you're there. It's just, I don't know. I know it's all cliche shit and people just starting out oh, what the fuck, what do I do? But you just gotta keep grinding, man.
I told you that I'm
just gotta keep grinding.
I'm gonna start animating, bro.
Yeah. I got a lot of DMs asking me what to do. If you DM me, I'll tell you what to do.
I was going to do it for fun. I want to animate a minute sequence, but I'm going to do it for fun. It's going to be a Twitch stream. So I'm going to have Twitch streams where I'm animating, just learning the process and see where I end up a year or so from now. But what can you tell us about your journey? When did you decide you wanted to be an animator, and some of the goals that you have now? And then we get into the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying it since I was 3, since I could talk. So that's how long I've been saying it.
That you wanted to be an animator?
Of course.
Oh, nice.
It's the goal throughout entire school, university. Basically, I was me and Christian, my brother, were pretty much top of the class in every art class you could take in high school. Same in university, I was one of the top students there as well. And then you leave, you graduate, you think everything's going to happen for you, and then, nothing happened for a year. Yeah, nothing happened. Couldn't get out. All my friends at university got gigs, and, they're professionals, and I was just sitting there just trying to get something, man. Just trying. And it, it took a year of grinding. It really did. And then I applied for a studio the year before, didn't get in. And then I was working some bullshit job, and then I'm I'm not going to do this the rest of my life. So I just happened to email them, what's going on. And it just so happened that they were looking for people. And then I reapplied stronger, better. It's pretty standard to do a test when you are going to enter a studio. So they give you a test to do, pass the test, and then I moved state in 2 weeks.
Move state. What does that mean?
By myself.
You moved
in a 1-bedroom studio apartment.
Oh, so you moved to like a different state?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's about a 12-hour drive, but I flew. It's only like an hour flight. It's not that far away.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's just like that. The ball started rolling.
Yeah, and then started my training arc for 6 months at Flying Bark, a studio in Sydney. Started on Ninja Turtles. I got there. The first day I got there, they're like, "Oh, this show's cancelled." So that was
what?
That was some bad news. But
did you get to animate anything, or like?
Yeah, I got a few.
Okay,
I got a few shots on that. Yeah, so I get there like at lunch. They call us into a meeting. Like, "Oh, this show's cancelled." I'm like, "Well, that was a short trip." But they moved this on to another project, which ended up to be Monkey Kid Lego, which was 4 seasons. It was maybe 3 years of my life. And then I'm on a secret project I can't talk about now, but at the same studio.
Okay. So you were in university how long ago?
What was that? I finished 2020. 2017?
2017. So it's been like 7 years.
Yeah. So it was like, 7 years or so. But, I only really count my professional career as 5 years because of the gap.
So 5-year pro. Yeah. How much can you tell us about how you made it to Toei?
Well, there is a rumor in the community that if you post fan art animation on Twitter on any series, a producer will reach out at some point. Been hearing this rumor for maybe 3 years.
Because you just started, you posted things before, but this year, or last year rather, you kind of really started posting One Piece stuff.
Yeah, I started doing. Well, I did. I started with the Yonko,
right?
Fan art.
Yeah, the fan art.
Which I don't know, but I assume that's what they saw.
I mean, it went viral.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, viral.
Oh, it did. It popped off, as the kids say.
It definitely popped off. 'Cause I think even when he posted like what you were working on, people was like, "Oh my god, what is it? What is this?" And I think it was.
They're like, "Oh, it's like a professional." I'm like, "Yeah,
that's kind of what I am." Now the dope thing is that you were updating people on the progress even after you were done posting different things.
Yeah,
you would like update even the animation. I think you just updated the Shanks one recently too, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and do the other characters' attacks and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm working on Blackbeard at the moment because I got the practice for Blackbeard, so I might as well do it.
I think, like I said, that's one of the Shanks. I think I made a short about it. About one of the best Shanks fan animations I've seen. Just with, and obviously there's some bias there because of how you feel about Shanks, right? But
of course,
it popped off, went crazy. So from there, what happened?
Just Twitter DMs, man. And then the whole process was through Twitter DMs. This is basically how it worked.
So basically people hit you up, was like, hey, boom, boom, boom.
Hey, we're thinking about this. Let me get you some cleanup first. And then that's how it worked.
Did you have to do a test for Toei?
No test for Toei.
Is it because you had to co-sign with somebody else, or this is just how Toei is?
It's kind of hard because they're using Google Translate and you're trying to understand what they're saying. And
that's something I didn't think about, the language barrier.
Yeah, the language barrier is a little bit of an issue. They're trying to figure it out. You got a few English guys there that can help you out as well. But it's. I feel like if you got it early, you might be a little bit overwhelmed as to what the fuck is going on, because like it is different to Western. It is different to Western style animation in terms of like techniques and more on the like production side, what they want, what they need. I feel like if you're too green and you don't know the basics of animation or you're like good at it, you're gonna get confused and overwhelmed by like the differences.
So can you talk about how much time you had to complete everything?
They gave me deadlines, but those deadlines shifted around when things got delayed and stuff. It was a fair period.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't feel like you were like pressed for time. It was like, all right, I have enough ample time to get things done.
For me, it was a little bit annoying. Well, it wasn't annoying. It was a little bit stressful because I was still doing my full-time job. And then
so you got to balance that.
Doing it part-time. So it's all weekends and early mornings for a few weeks. And then, slowed down, then picked up, and then slowed down, picked up again. But yeah, it's I think next time I'll take time off.
Yeah,
if there is a next time. Yeah, just to do something crazy.
Let me ask you, when you found out, or like, what was the moment when you found out like you were definitely going to be animating something on this episode? What was your reaction?
I don't know. By now, I think you know that I'm pretty low key about most things. Right. I messaged Christian straight away. It was hype. It was crazy.
Yeah. What did Christian say?
Because he was excited as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Christian's like more the animated one between you guys. So like,
sorta. He gets more upset than I do. But I think the relationship between me and Christian's always been a rivalry. So he's like, he doesn't want to give me props ever.
Really?
Yeah. It's more like, oh, don't fuck it up kind of situation.
So he's like,
you're gonna kill it.
Now you know you got a job to do. You got a big job to do. Man.
Yeah.
Man.
But it was kind of because like after that Yonko post, it was maybe 5-6 months later I got a DM. So you just kind of waiting around to see if something happens.
Yeah, so it's patience like, there too.
Yeah, it's like a manga anime situation where you just hear whispers and rumors and you take a shot and see if it happens or not.
That is dope. And just gotta let the people know. If people don't know already, you can see Eric and Christian's dynamic on the Redforce Podcast.
Yeah,
link will be in the description. Podcast every week, right? Without fail.
Yep.
If you love Shanks, you're going to love it. If you love Mihawk, we'll see. But Redforce Podcast, Eric and Christian. But that's dope. So it seems like you guys really push each other in regards to.
Yeah, it's always been like that. Because like I said, we're both top of the class always. So it's just like, we're just pushing each other forward. It's chilled out a little bit as we get older. And, as we, I'm 28 at them now.
So now
it was a lot more. I think we're getting better because we never used to be able to work with each other on things because you would just turn into a screaming match on who wants to be the captain.
So let me ask you this about the podcast. How did you guys? Because the dynamic is great on a podcast now, where it's just like it seems like you let Christian kind of go run wild, and then you kind of just chime in when you need to. Right.
Well, yeah. I feel like I'm more the facilitator for Christian to talk, so I'll ask him specific questions to push him in a certain direction and stuff. Yeah.
It seems like Christian is more unhinged at times. And you're like, it's fine. But that's dope. That's dope. So now with you being One Piece professional. Right. What's next?
Well, it's going to be a few years in the project I'm working at full time now, so that'll take me to 2025-ish or so. I want that Shanks vs. Kid, Brago. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to get it.
It's really it's not that far off though.
It's a while away if you think about it.
How far are we? Maybe I'm misremembering. It should happen this year, 20
chapters. It'll Yeah, it'll happen late this year. I think. It's possible. I'm not lost hope yet, but I want it. I know it's going to be tough competition because I'm sure everybody wants
that episode.
Even if I get like, Hunger or throwing Shanks the information on Kid, I'll be happy. You know what I'm saying? I don't need Divine Departure. I want it, but anything would be great.
Yeah, if you get Divine Departure,
I'm gonna do wide shots of like Alabaster getting hit with hockey.
I said, Shanks is gonna pull his hockey from space. It's gonna be okay.
The first space shot in One Piece.
So this is interesting because like this is you as a Shanks fan. If you get Divine Departure, you're gonna add sauce on it because it's like, hey,
of course,
that's my guy.
No doubt about it.
Which kind of goes back.
I will sauce it to the moon.
Right? Which goes back to the episode. Something Henry said on Twitter was Henry Terlato, who's the animator who did the sequence with Aokiji versus Cracker, the flashback. Seemingly the entire sequence, we had cleanup help from different people. Yeah. He said Aokiji is his favorite character, one of his favorite characters. And, obviously that sequence was saucy.
Of course.
What did you think about that sequence?
Obviously, it was well animated and well done, of course.
Beautiful.
And, it's good. I think it's good that they did the cover story in that specific context.
Perfect.
Because you kind of need it. Yeah,
you needed it. I was saying that when I was reacting, bro. I was like, anime only is going to be like, what the hell is Pudding doing here? And as soon as I said it.
I'm seeing a lot of dialogue on Twitter about, is this Canon? Is Cracker stronger than Gear 4 punches, but he can't kill Gene Bart with the bullet? Listen, I'll say this about anime being canon and not canon. Don't use it as canon and power scaling, okay? It's we're having fun here, all right? Relax.
Okay. So you're saying we shouldn't use the anime as canon. It is.
I'm saying in general in the animation area,
space.
Everyone wants to do cool shit all the time. Regardless of power scaling or story context. That's just how it goes, okay? So don't take it too seriously, okay?
So you're saying always refer to the manga?
Yes, always refer to the manga. For anti-power scaling debates, always. Brago, I thought this was common knowledge, but...
It is not. It is not. It definitely isn't. Going wild. Because in a sequence like this, right, with Cracker versus... Van Auger and Aokiji, it wasn't. We didn't see what happened, right? This is all extra stuff, right? And because this is technically what happened, it's almost like people view it as in canon filler. If that makes sense, right? So it's like, well, technically it's filler, but it's canon because we know it happened, and the animators are filling in the gaps for us. So people treat it as canon. I'll just ask you this
for the power scales out there. Do you really think Gene Bart is harder than a Cracker soldier? Just think about that, okay?
I mean, I thought it was insane.
Just think about that for 2 seconds.
Unless he's a Buccaneer.
Yeah. He's got no lips. Buccaneer's got lips. I'm not sure.
Maybe he's one of the rare few. People. Somebody said, I'm just going to treat John Bart as a Buccaneer Lunarian so I can justify it. Okay, so like people are probably like, okay, what's happening? What are people saying? One of the things that's happened after the Van Auger scene specifically is Van Auger. Well, the funny part we saw that John Bart, we saw his scene first, and we saw how he was able to just take the attack from Van Auger and it was like nothing, like not even barely a scratch.
Right.
And then we see the flashback, and Van Auger is one-shotting Cracker's biscuit soldiers. Now,
that's a strong gun.
Very strong gun. Very, very strong gun with the context that we know. We have.
Right.
That Gear 4th Luffy was needed to break through each biscuit soldier.
Maybe he's using the candy bullets, Brago. You ever think about that?
I thought about candy bullets. I thought about sea stone bullets.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's not crazy, right? Sea stone bullets. I thought about that the cracker soldiers are just vulnerable to piercing damage.
Yeah.
I also thought about the environment with Aokiji being there and how it could affect the biscuits, because you already know crackers, biscuits, they're affected by elements.
Sure.
But I needed something to justify. Or
this is all more effort. You're putting way more effort into what was put into as a power scaler on these things. It's not that complicated.
No, Eric. So here's something I thought about. Right, I thought about power scaling in general because I was thinking about it, and we're not as where we were. I think I would say our group in regards to power scaling 4 or 5 years ago. We're not there anymore. Like we still have fun with it, but I don't think we're as hardcore as we used to be.
Right.
But I was thinking about power scaling, and I was like, power scaling is literally us trying to make sense of things that doesn't make sense. Because,
well, it's just power related to another character. So,
relativity, for the most part.
Yeah, it has to be consistent in some regard, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Just like this like whole sequence. So it's like, I don't know. This is to me, like everything else, including video games and all this shit, is just people trying to do cool shit. Leave Oda to power scale in the manga.
But here's what power scaling is, though, Eric. Power scaling, I think we try to make sense of what Oda hasn't made sense of himself yet. So, for instance, if you ask Oda some of these questions, he's going to be like, well, I didn't think of that. I was just drawing.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Sorta. I agree that Oda doesn't probably think about it as deep as we do, but I'm sure he thinks about it.
He has like a vague idea of what he wants to convey, but as far as people, oh, well, look at this here and this panel and how this character did this, if we compare it to this, it's like there's no way Oda thought of all of it, but power scaling is trying to make sense of it. So we're just collecting the information that Oda put out there, whereas like Oda doesn't even have the answers to these things because that wasn't his intent. Where I think sometimes like Oda would have a different answer than the power scalers themselves, and even if Oda gave an answer, we'd be like, "Well, Oda, that doesn't make sense."
Yeah. Sometimes in storytelling, you got to bend the rules a little bit to service the plot,
right?
And we know that about One Piece as well,
for sure.
So it's like how, I don't know, Zoro was held up by the crab unit in Onigashima.
Insane.
And it's like, Oda, please. Or like how Luffy was kind of like held up by Ulti for no reason as well. It's like, all right, Oda, we get it. These guys are strong, but like you don't have to do this.
You don't have to do this, yeah. Yeah, because that Ulti thing gets a lot of traction.
Or like how Luffy was on the floor even though he could restart his heart.
Yeah.
In Egghead. It's just so Oda can like give Kuruma his moment, and then Luffy can get back up.
He gives the time for other characters to have their moment. Where it's like when Luffy's there, he kind of dominates the space. So you kind of have to remove Luffy a lot of times, you know. So it's just like that's kind of what Oda does. But as for fans, they don't see it that way. They're just like, yo, what's going on? And power scalers see it completely differently, which I can understand when people view power scalers as toxic, where just now everybody's power scaling everything. But the Van Auger thing, I think it's really interesting because now, Eric, regardless of whether or not it should be viewed as canon, it's going to be viewed as canon. I've already seen so many posts about it. People looking at it saying, yo, this is definitively what Oda meant. And I have no problem with it for a few reasons. The Blackbeard Pirates, they needed a jolt.
Yeah.
They needed it. I'm going to just be honest. In the community, in general, the Blackbeard Pirates were not looked at favorably at all. I'm
sure the Blackbeard Pirates will get sourced in the lead incident with Garp and Kobe. I'm sure they'll get sourced.
They absolutely will. But like this Van Auger gas, because people are like, wait, this makes sense. What do you mean Van Auger is a Blackbeard commander? I'm like, sure. But that only makes sense, I guess, if you view Van Auger as one of the top guys. And we typically did not because of who his opponent is supposed to be. But then it's like, well, he has to go against Yasopp, right? And Yasopp is one of the top guys on Shanks' crew. So can he go against Yasopp and then go against Usopp?
I don't know. Because Oda hasn't done sniper battles, really.
No.
I can't even think of one. So he might be a glass cannon. It's like a situation.
one hit?
Who knows? Maybe. Like, I don't know. Because
it's bullets too, so it's...
Yeah, you gotta think about how, like, Usopp's gonna handle the situation, I guess.
You're gonna run away.
It's gonna be some, like...
Observation.
He's gonna do some setup traps and some tricky stuff to hit him. I don't know how many times he's gonna hit him. You know?
There's gonna be more... kind of a catch me if you can thing with Usopp and Van Auger. It's not going to be a throwing hand. So even if Van Auger is physically better,
I think we just assume Usopp's going to fight Van Auger because, like,
I mean,
he's
kind of
a
has
sniper
to, right?
as well. Yeah, but like, it's not a Zoro situation where Zoro has to fight all the swordsmen because he wants to be the strongest swordsman. Usopp's never like, I want to be the world's strongest sniper.
No,
so he doesn't have to fight the sniper.
But if he takes his dad out, which I know you don't believe in that, where it's like Blackbeard taking out Shanks, I know you're not there. But if that does happen, it's kind of rite of passage.
If it happens, yeah, I can see the emotional standpoint, but like, it might be Nami doing illusion tempo and doing some crazy shit like that. We don't necessarily know.
A 2v2 or something. Because remember, like, Katarina can make illusions technically, something like that, and Nami. So Nami and Usopp versus Katarina.
But like, I don't know, the whole Blackbeard pirate situation's kind of messy because I think Oda's like intentionally sandbagging them, making them look like complete clowns all the time. Especially like even Blackbeard.
Yes, in the law fight, well, that's his MO though. Like, I'm gonna take a few attacks and I'm gonna just brush it off.
Yeah. But I think I don't like. Do you think Oda's ever gonna make Blackbeard a serious like threat, or is it just gonna be like this guy's fucking around until like the whole situation?
I think anybody who doesn't already view Blackbeard as a threat, they aren't really reading One Piece technically.
Yeah,
because I think even with him fucking around, I agree. He is just like how like he's diabolical, right? Like even how he pulled up on Law, it's almost like he's like, hey, we're in the same generation. What do you mean? Which makes him even more dangerous, right? It's because it's just you know what comes with it, but he's just
funny that
oh my god.
I think people forget how strong the Quay fruit is.
Oh my gosh.
It's not a joke. This thing is stupid.
What they did in that Law versus Blackbeard scene, like Blackbeard takes the attacks, and even while he's falling, he uses, I think that's the first named attack we've seen from the fruit.
Well, yeah, something crush or whatever.
Tremor crush.
Yeah.
I'm like, because what I loved about it is the after effect where Law and the others couldn't move.
Yeah, they're like rattled.
Right? They couldn't move.
Which makes sense, right? It's an earthquake.
It's an earthquake, right? And so I think we get to the point where sometimes people throw Blackbeard at like, I've seen him as low as like 9. I'm like, bro, how? That's crazy to me.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people expect this like turn, maybe with Shanks or whatever, where he like gets a body and is like serious and is like soaked in blood, and I don't think that's ever going to happen, to be fair. Like,
no, Shanks has already shown us who he is.
Yeah, but like, even if it's someone else, I don't think it's ever going to be like Blackbeard catches a clean body and is serious now.
He's never going to change. His personality is his personality. Yeah. Remember, a lot of people expected Luffy to change after Ace's death? Like, be something different?
That's like, it's annoying because that's like not the point of One Piece.
No,
it's like,
no, these characters don't, they're not treated that way. Let me ask you though, with the law scene, Law versus Blackbeard, the Rayleigh scene, the Shanks scene, when you see that hockey emanating from them, do you view it as different, or is it all one and the same? It's just cool colors.
It's cool colors.
Okay.
It's not all Conqueror's hockey. It's just flashing lights. People gotta chill out. All right.
Do you see how people can misconstrue it though?
Yeah, I can.
Because I see people starting to say Law has Conqueror's hockey now.
I think the anime goes through trends of doing stuff like this.
The aura shit, Wano.
Yeah, remember the aura shit, or like once Ishitani did lens flares, every episode after that has lens flares on it. Yeah. I think it's just trends that go through the anime. at certain points. So maybe that goes away at some point, that comes back at some point. Who knows what the trends will happen.
But we should not use this as confirmation.
Don't use it as canon, because like, you know, it's an interpretation of Oda's work. Firstly, it's not the manga. Everything else is just interpretation, really. Right.
I was saying, bro. I was saying if I was an animator and they gave me the opportunity to animate, I don't know, a Katakuri scene or a Doflamingo scene, I'm gonna add some sauce to it. It's gonna look insane because I'm biased towards this character, and of course I have guidelines, right? As far as things I'm within what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, hey, make this look as good as possible, which is the goal. And so,
and you want to stretch your legs and do some cool stuff,
right? Like again, the Aokiji scene for Henry, clearly, bro. Yeah, clearly, it was.
He's trying new stuff. He's doing some cool stuff. You know?
Right.
He's doing a lot of stuff.
And what did you think about that scene? I guess from a narrative standpoint, because for me, I kind of looked at it as like Cracker. It's almost like Aokiji stepping into the darkness. That's kind of like the way.
Yeah, it's kind of like the tone. I think was interesting how it went with it, because it kind of like, it portrays Aokiji as like actually not a good guy anymore. If that makes sense, which is interesting. I don't know how, because we don't know how that plot point's going to turn out.
Don't.
So it's kind of like,
just using the information we have now, it makes a lot of sense. So I did love it, and just how he just walked past Cracker. I mean, sure, Oda could have had different things in mind in regards to how the fight went, but hey, this is how it showed. Like he got one shot, right? Just one tapped, like literally.
With the bullet, I don't know why he was out of his soldier. There's a lot of questions. Bro's got into that fight raw with Kuzan. That's interesting. But he's like, what is a glass cannon?
But the thing is, Kuzan is one of the worst possible matchups for Cracker.
It's not a good matchup for him at all. It probably wouldn't even mattered if it was in the soldier, because like he just would have got frozen through.
Right. It would have been. I'm willing to guess that he wasn't one of the soldiers. And then after what Van Auger did to it, he was like, I can't be in the soldiers, or I'm like a sitting duck.
This is the thing. Like, Van Auger just probably could have one-shot him if he's that strong anyway, because the man's a glass cannon.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I don't know. Akiji's ice is interesting to me because it's like overpowered until you reach a certain point where like it doesn't affect the strong characters.
So it depends on Oda and what Oda wants to do with it, because versus
Dofi. I think if you got Conqueror's Haki, you can break out of it, because that's kind of what Garb did.
I hear that, but it's just, it makes Conqueror's Haki so
strong,
unbelievable. You know what I mean? Where it's like only reason you can break out of it with Conqueror's Haki, or if you have like the Tremor Fruit or whatever.
They suggested the Tremors did it for Whitebeard. Right. And Garb was probably Conqueror's Haki.
Garb was probably Conqueror's, or
you would assume that Katakuri wouldn't get one shot by Kuzan's ice.
No shot.
Right?
No shot.
Yeah.
I guess, this, I think it's Conqueror's, but I think less than Conqueror's. I think it's Will.
Right.
Right? I think it's Will, where I think if it gets to a point, right, and the fight has been going on long enough, the ice starts to affect you more, where it gets harder and harder to break out of. That's kind of how I look at it, where like the more tired you are.
Kind of like a video game where you're like slowed if you're nice.
Yes. Yeah. So like Inkling, and so I kind of view it as something like that, where like, of course, Garp is going to break out of it early in the fight, right? Because he's hopped up, he's ready to go. But like as the fight goes on, it's like it gets harder and harder to break out of it. But has any anime or anime episode, but you're an animator, so you have a different perspective. Has it ever changed your perspective of a character?
No. No anime episode has ever changed anything, because I've never taken it as canon ever. I don't know why people started taking it as canon.
I think because they want to canon filler.
Things, Yeah, but like it's vague on how much Oda even looks at stuff, so.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel like Oda is supervising each episode.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about that, but like, I don't know. It's
Okay.
I wouldn't take it as canon, in my opinion. Okay.
So you heard it here, guys.
That's all I can really say about it.
Eric is saying we shouldn't take the anime stuff as canon. I'm gonna say this though, Eric. Van Auger stocks is up for me.
Of course.
Van Auger stocks is up
any
for me.
Blackbeard hype is hype, all right? Because this guy's struggling.
I'm gonna say this. Spoiler alert. This may come out after the video, but
Right.
I'm working on a video talking about how the Blackbeard Pirates needed Van Auger to do this and how everybody's stock is raised because of this. And now it's making Shanks versus Blackbeard more interesting. And now Luffy versus Blackbeard is going to be more interesting considering just this one moment that is probably not canon.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And now that the hype is through the roof. I think even somebody that doesn't get the credit that he deserves considering what he went through and who he ran into is Burgess. And Burgess is very strong, literally, and even within the story.
Well,
he's
stronger now than he was in Dressrosa.
Right. But I think even back then, it's just like he ran into Sabo, bro.
Yeah, Zabu's always a weird character. People put him... Yeah, I don't know.
He's
some
not in
idiots
between.
put him third commander or like...
Third is crazy to me. Third is insane to me. Come on, let's be honest.
He's a wide gap. Yeah, it is. It's a lot.
Like, the worst Sabo is first.
Yeah, I'd agree on that.
It's first. Because I got him over most of the first commanders. And, I mean, he's, you know... And then he get the Luffy gas and the Ace gas. It's just... He's going to be up there once we see him again. And because of these connections...
Just in terms of, like, the canon stuff as well, like... The whole Shanks scene with Granville was completely different to what happened. So, like,
how do you view that? The difference? What's the difference you think?
Well, for me, it's just like adding some. It'd be strange trying to do that effect with the lightning not hitting him, because like it wouldn't make visual sense. Is how I kind of look at it.
What do you mean?
Because, like, you know how he gets stunned in the manga
Yes.
from, like, this lightning passing him?
Mm-hmm.
It would be visually unclear if the lightning just kind of, like, went past around him and he was stunned. So to make it more visually clear, they'd, like, attach it to him.
And a lot of people felt like it was instant in the manga. And...
Yeah, and it there was kind of a little build up to it as well.
Yeah.
With like the shot of the ship and stuff.
But in the anime, it was like really a lot of build up. They made it like travel slowly towards
when you're animating stuff, manga's sometimes hard to translate because you got to like think about it in
the time and how
and how cuts fit together and how it all works that way. So yeah. So some things are going to be a little bit different to make it a little bit more appealing or clear, or you know.
Yeah, because I'm assuming for that moment they're trying to make it impactful as well, right?
Yeah, they're trying to make it as strong as possible. You know?
So for you, when your scene in the episode is from the end of Blackbeard's attack to Stronger falling, and
then like Doc Q throwing apples.
Yeah. So how long exactly is your side of it?
It's about 30 seconds though. From it's about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. In regards to animation, is there any animation that you've seen recently that completely blew you away that you would like to? That's like, man, I would like to do something like that.
It's a lot of stuff people can't see because the staff at my studio are world class.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of character acting and very subtle things that I'm working on at the moment, which is very difficult. It's kind of a little bit easier to do really big things because you can hide, if that makes sense. But to do really small, subtle things is very difficult because you got to be really consistent.
I get what you're saying because this reminds me of I don't know if I'm sure you've seen that episode. It was It was a Law and Kid versus Big Mom episode. I don't know if you remember the one I'm talking about, where it had a lot of facial expressions.
Yeah, a lot of character acting.
A lot of character acting. I loved that episode. That was some of my favorite stuff from that, from the One Piece anime, because it gave the characters so much personality.
Or like Kaido actually expressing and talking with his mouth and face. Emoting.
That episode versus Luffy where he knocked him, where he thought Luffy was still up and he was actually, Luffy's already knocked out. That was an amazing episode too. So you're saying like those things, those more subtle, smaller things are harder.
Those subtle, small character acting, or like a hand rotating really slowly in space, is really difficult work that I think is underappreciated.
So something as even like a character just putting their hand on their chin and like rolling their eyes. It's like the simple things sometimes become complex because they're so simple. It's a lot of focus on them, so you have to nail it. Yeah,
all the focus is on the face. So if it doesn't feel like it's an actual guy talking, then it feels whack.
That's interesting. So like So what I'm getting from it is, it's easier to animate, I guess, far-fetched things because it's not real, so you can add sauce and it still feels real because it's not real, as opposed to something that should be real and something that's simple. It's like, now you got to make it as real as possible because people know how it should be.
Yeah, and then you got to study how actual faces work and how emotions, and you got to record yourself doing it and see, what to exaggerate and what not to. Yeah, it's very complex doing character acting properly.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah. Before I let you get out of here, I would say what's for people that want to animate, because there are a lot of people that, we're in the animation space or anime space, manga. I'm sure there are a lot of people that watch manga or watch anime, read manga. They're like, I want to do that. What advice do you have for them?
Well, to animate, you got to know how to draw. So at first, conquer knowing how to draw. So, get a few books, learn how to draw a figure, a face, all those kind of things. You'd probably start there. You got to draw every day for multiple hours if you want to catch up. All right. A lot of people just see the finished product and they go, Brago, I've been drawing every day for 8 hours a day since I was 5, maybe less. It's you gotta. It's a long way to catch up. So you got to put in the work. And once you get the draw, if you can draw, then just start studying the process, because once you understand the process, then you can start doing what you want. It's not just drawing pictures in order after the other. There's a lot of small details and techniques you can use to get characters looking consistent, and then fill in the gaps from there. It's a lot of technical work if you want to be an animator. So I'd say learn the technical stuff, because that's gonna be your foundation, and then just practice, really.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Like I said, I've seen people animating and working on animations. I've seen somebody big as Mastar. And then there was somebody else who animated Kaido versus Luffy back in the day, who basically, I think they streamed every day showing their animations. And it took them a long time,
Oh yeah, it takes a long time.
I think it took them easily, over a year, them just streaming every day, animating this thing. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And real quick, how do you feel about the animation space in general? Like, because animation has come such a long way, where now it's a standard, right? Where going from where I think animation was with even all the way back when Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho, then I think it took a jump in around 2003, the early 2000s to late 2000s, 2011, right? And then 2016, and I think it's taken another jump now where it's a standard. And of course, Demon Slayer kind of broke through where now people are like expecting certain things. And I can say One Piece has matched that. And of course, JJK has gotten there too. what do you think about animation in general and where how far it's come?
The animation industry is moving upwards, which is, for a long time it was going down with just studios closing and shit happening and no one wanting to buy animation. So
and 2D animation too, right?
Yeah, 2D animation really died in the West for 20 years, really.
Yeah.
It's only really come back in the last 10 or so, and all that knowledge has to be rebuilt. But the West is coming back strongly. I'd suggest all animation fans start paying attention to the West, because the stuff that's going to come out is going to maybe make Japan look twice. Really. I'd say we've got, the good thing about the West is they're always going to adopt technology first and new techniques first. Japan's going to be slow. They how Japanese people are. They get stuck in their ways on how they do things.
Well, we see with the leaks.
So, yeah, animation. The anime industry in Japan, I think, is it's in a weird spot because there's a lot of demand for product, not a lot of animators. So I don't know how the demand is so high, but yet the pay is so low. Does that make sense to you in terms of economics at all?
It doesn't.
So someone has to say no. And I know Japanese culture kind of has to change, I guess, and that's not going to happen.
They have to say no, but I think what happens is seemingly a lot of Japanese animators or mangaka, it seems like they're so in love with the process and they're so in love with it, they're willing to accept pennies to do what they love, which is like, no, you got to be paid what you're worth, and you got to sometimes sacrifice and say no for the people that come after you. And, I think that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard in Japan.
It's always difficult as an artist to say no to a job, even if it's not at your level, or like you're not getting reimbursed because you start so low that you just take whatever you can get. Right. And there has to be a certain point where you just say, I know my worth.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been seeing, even with Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and what that has become, right? I just saw the song Sunflower just broke a record that no other song had. I'm just like, that's because of the animation of that show, of that movie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where nowadays animation is just so important. I saw for the Super Bowl, one of the top sports sites, they animated Sukuna versus Jogo, and they kind of changed it up for like using some of the players or whatever, and it kind of went viral. And it's like animation is a big freaking deal now, and hopefully
I think the anime industry might be back to 90s level popularity, even surpassed it by this point.
Yeah, I think it's close to it.
In the West, it's getting up there.
Yeah, it's on that level, and I think it's going to continue. I think especially even with the rise of how it's on Netflix, right? Netflix, all these animated shows that they're introducing. Yeah. I think it's in a great spot, and I think the future is bright as long as I think animators know their worth, because I know for some of the JJK, was it MAPPA? Was it MAPPA? It was like a lot of issues to finish the season. I know it's like a bunch of stuff they talked about over there. So it's like, how does that get resolved and stuff? But I think in general,
for all the wannabe animators out there, like there's going to be times in production where you're fucked and you just have to grind, and that's just any production, regardless of like people talk about grinding in video games or like film, TV. Yeah. Sometimes shit gets fucked and you just gotta grind it. That's just what you signed up for. So don't complain too much about it. But all the time crunch is no good either. So
I feel that.
There's gotta be a balance.
I feel that. Eric, like I said, congrats again, bro. I think
appreciate it.
Like I said, watching the episode, I felt a lot of pride, just, being your friend and just seeing just how far you've come. And just even times we be in the VC, we're talking about, what you doing? Oh, I'm just working, right? Right.
Well,
a lot of people don't see those moments,
Yeah.
So it's great to see where you've come. And I know this is just the tip of the iceberg. Once you get the Shanks Kamusari.
Oh, please help, please.
You know, I know that go crazy. I would say, bro, the animations you put out, I think just the massive love that they've gotten, bro. I've seen so much of your animation on TikTok. It's actually insane.
I'm aware. It is what it is. I can't complain too much because I'm like using IP that's not mine, so I can't complain that it gets stolen. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just like they remove the watermark and like they they do all that.
I know.
You know, but it's everywhere, which shows that people love it. You know.
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm gonna do Blackbeard next, and then I'm gonna do Buggy, and I'll put a Mihawk and Crocodile cameo in that one, and then we'll do Gear 5.
I think you just make it a thing when you can, and it's tough because you know. Because of work and all that different stuff. But, I say keep doing your thing. But I guess in regards to content that you want out there, where can people find you? What content do you want to tell people about?
It's just Eric Terlato on everything. So, I don't know. Just look at Twitter. I promise I'm not going to tweet that much about Zoro this year.
Because you tweet the Zoro bait.
I'm gonna put the Zoro bait down. Check out the Redforce Podcast. We talk about One Piece every chapter. We have the friends on, the boys. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we talk about JoJo when there's no chapter to come out. So, yeah.
Are you guys gonna give JJK another shot?
I mean, we get a lot of questions being like Brago. Like yesterday, we got a question from a guy. He's like, why is JJK allowed to just drop plot points and have shit that makes no sense and no one complains about it? I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't read JJK, so
drop plot points. Okay, that's I
don't know what they're referring to, but
that's very strong. I can understand it. There are some quote unquote dropped plot points, but I think with JJK, it's clear that everybody doesn't get a happy ending. All right.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
My answer was I don't think people are there for the plot. They're there for hands and cool stuff.
Yeah, the plot is great. I don't want to downplay that. The plot is great, but I think JJK probably has some of the best hands in manga and anime. So what you lack in one spot, you get it elsewhere. It's kind of like with One Piece. Yeah, it lacks hands, but you get so many other things. So it's like, whatever, right? So you kind of look past it. That's kind of the same thing. Kind of the same thing in JJK. But it's
how long do you think JJK's got left until it's finished?
It feels like it's about to be done. Like I just got caught up last week, and I was like, yo, it feels like the end. It feels like we're towards the end because there's not many places you can go, and so many people are dead. So it's like, I'm doing a top 30 in March for JJK. And at first I was like, only characters that are alive. And it was like, wait, who's going to be on it? You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, we actually need the dead characters too. So it's going to have it. That's just the type of series JJK is. But I don't think it has. If it gets through this year, then that means that Gege is adding things to extend it. But it feels like this year or early next year for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good stuff though, man. It's not. I can tell it's not a story for you guys because it's super just it's edge, right? I know you don't like it's edge at times. It's not just edge, but it's edge at times. I know how you don't like the edge.
I watched the first couple of episodes. I'm like, I'm not like, it's just I've seen it before, It's kind of like, all right, like I get it. Like
early on, I get it. Like I would say season 2 has a lot more heart than season 1, just because of the flashback and the characters that they bring back. It's just a lot more heart there. As opposed to season 1, I can understand being turned off by Yuji and Yuji's grandfather and just how lackluster that is.
It's not that I was turned. It's just that I was like bored, sort of. I was like, all right, there's demons. It's a Japanese thing. They use curse techniques.
Yeah.
I
would say it gets a lot better. It gets a lot better, and season 2 is just a masterpiece. I'm not gonna lie. I would like to see you react to season 2 as an animator.
I've seen a lot of clips out there. Like this, I've seen the cool stuff.
Oh, you seen all the cool animation stuff?
Yeah, like the domain expansion fire thing.
Okay, so you seen the domain expansion. Did you see Toji? You don't know the characters, but like, did you see the bunny?
I sort of do.
The bunny stuff? Where the dude is fighting against the bunny?
So. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Bro, this may be gas and bias, but JJK season 2 has some of the best animations I've ever seen in my life. Better, I'm talking about like up there with like Uzui in Demon Slayer. Like I'm talking like it's to that level. Like it's insane. It's a lot more fluid, I would say.
Yeah.
Because just the scale is insane. So they go there. It's not like Dragon Ball blow up the world scale, but easily decimating just blocks at a time, and because it's kind of happening in a city, you can kind of scale it that way. But that'd be dope for you to react to one break week or whatever.
I'll take a look at it at some point.
Yeah. But guys, Eric, again, appreciate you coming on. Guys, check out Eric on the Redforce Podcast. Eric Terlato everywhere. Link will be in the description. Link will be in the title, all that different stuff. A One Piece professional. Yep. Officially at this point. So
officially, there you go. I have authority on everything.
You can't get mad at his Shanks takes anymore, all right?
That's right.
You can't get mad. But Eric, I really appreciate it, man. It was dope.
Oh, good. Thanks, Brago.
Absolutely.